So what we're going to do tonight, this is July 3rd, and again, welcome to all of you that are joining us. I expect smaller numbers tonight because 4th of July is tomorrow, and a lot of people are celebrating their bondage change tonight. So I have friends, just so many people that aren't awake about what's going on in our country right now. And just to touch on what's going on in the borders, they're expecting about 160,000 people, undocumented people, to be crossing through our borders between now and the end of the year. Many of them are coming through and infecting the Border Patrol agents that are working with them. There's quite a few whistleblowers. There's people that are quitting their jobs in droves because they've been ordered by the federal government to stand down and do nothing about this. There is foot and mouth, I think it's called, foot and mouth disease, confirmed cases of TB, chicken pox that they're bringing through, leprosy has come through, pneumonia has come through. There's several things. You have to look it up. Alex Jones is doing a very good job on this, Drudge Report, reporting it, and so is Michael Savage. You can pretty much get the app for your cell phone and listen to their audio broadcast live and or the recordings. Everybody needs to be aware of what's going on. 70% of who's coming across our border right now is called OTM, and that stands for Other Than Mexican. They are Honduran, they're Syrian, Iraqi, Iranian, you name it, Guatemalans. They're all coming through the border. 30%, they're saying, are Mexican. And a lot of them, they have evidence, are paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to get safe passage into our country. And as far as I know, we are the only country right now that has open borders. So the government is fast trying to collapse the country, the economy, and they are shipping these sick people. If you think you're immune to it by wherever it is you're living, you're not. They're shipping these people all over the country, and they're coming in with these sicknesses. So you watch and see the TB outbreaks that start to occur when everybody starts back in the school year, and how many kids come down with this. We're living in crazy times, you guys. So I want to start out tonight's call with Dave's audio. Dave, if you want to kind of give everybody a brief rundown of what it is that they're about to hear.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. This is Dave. I'm in Colorado, and many of you know that I've been involved in issues with discrimination in the state of Colorado, wrongful termination, spousal discrimination, illegal judge, a fake judge, a forged oath of office, certified by the Secretary of State. Just a lot of corruption and fraud under Title 18, Section 505, 506, forging a government seal, conspiracy, RICO, and we go on and on and on with all the different things that play into this. But the bottom line is, I've never dealt with anything like this in my life, and I've never had any my day in court. I've never had any justice. And as I continually pursued down this path, what I did is file a color of law complaint back in August to the Department of Justice, Office of Inspector General, based on my son's recommendation, who served in that position for the military. And as I did not get a response, and followed up on February 8th of my original complaint of August regarding color of law complaint that's been ignored by the Denver alphabet soup. And I did receive written correspondence from both the Office Inspector General of my complaint that was unsigned, nameless, and my complaint pertaining to the FBI was being sent back to the FBI, and which I then received a follow-up letter from the FBI thanking me for coming forward, and my complaint will be handled internally, with never any response. And I finally had a phone discussion with both of these agencies on yesterday. And what you're about to hear is the gentleman from the from the feds whose letter I received was signed. He signed the letter saying it's going to be handled internally. He basically told me that my case has been adjudicated. They're going to do nothing. I asked them where they are in the investigation. It is confidential. It's none of my business. They will not disclose it to me. And that's all up to the Denver alphabet soup to determine if there's any ongoing investigation or not. And the Denver alphabet soup has refused to even acknowledge that I filed a complaint in their office with certified receipt, signed and returned last July, with still not a word from any of them. That's where we're at. That's what you're going to hear on this discussion.
What's interesting, too, is it's your case, and they're saying it's confidential even from you. So they'll hear that, and everybody will kind of get a grip on it. If the sound is bad, somebody pop me off a quick text, but I think we should be okay. Here we go.
Just following up on your letter of March 31st, retaining my complaint of the Denver FBI, and I haven't heard anything.
You said you got a letter from us.
I did?
And that's the communication that we sent out.
Yeah, I understand that. I received the communication. Information provided will be processed and handled appropriately. I don't understand the content of the letter of handle appropriately. When is somebody going to contact me to look into the things I have outlined?
I mean, what we do is the content of the letter is to let you know that we are receiving the information that is being processed. We don't tell people if we open up a case, or we don't tell people if we don't open up a case. Like if you call the local police department to report something, they would tell you, the status of the investigation. So it's the same thing.
Okay, well, this is...
So we're dealing with, possibly, FBI employees, and that's a highly confidential matter.
Well, so the last 10 years of my life has been stripped from me because of illegal activity of discrimination. Wife comes down with MS, calls OSHA, and I get terminated. Go to court. Takes me 2 years to get my case to court. The judge rules the jury doesn't hear the false discrimination charge. Come to find out the judge is an illegal judge. He has a forged oath of office certified by the Secretary of State. Then I come to find out Secretary of State acknowledges there's a forged oath of office. I present all the FBI who wants me to follow up as 4 interviews with, and then says, I stated I filed a color of law complaint, claimed Denver office had evidence for 9 months. Well, no one's contacted me to look at my evidence, so I'm confused on what the next step is. And so far when I've been interviewed by the Denver DA, who's done nothing, responded from the Attorney General, who's done nothing, responded by the First Judicial District DA, who's done nothing, responded by the Judicial Commission, the Chief Justice, who's done nothing, and everybody has their heads in stand like a bunch of ostriches and doing nothing when all these violations that have occurred. I think I've outlined about 41 federal felonies committed against my wife and I, and nobody's done nothing. And by being interviewed by the FBI 4 times and then telling me to follow up, I follow up. And then I end up going to a court case of a forged oath of office by someone I received to go to a court case, and the FBI agent sitting in that courtroom for an alleged forged oath of office when my document submitted is verified and certified by the state that the judge's oath of office is forged, and they're handing me back my evidence after 9.5 months and walk away so they can't do nothing. It's absurd. This is. I don't know what else to say, sir, but something needs to be done to follow up on this investigation, to let me put some closure in my life after 10 years so I can move forward. Do you have anything for me? I'm sorry? Is somebody going to follow up with any?
We did follow up. We sent you a letter.
Say that again?
We did follow up. We sent you a letter that we were receiving information and process.
Okay. Well, do I have to just turn around and submit all my documentations? I mean, is that what I'm in the process of needing to do to get it all out to you for further processing?
You have additional additional information, you can send it to us. But, we've processed it as of now. That's why we sent you the letter.
And you had no determination on it.
Determination as to what?
What you processed. I mean, as far as the complaint, as far as
no obligation to let complainants know if we are looking at investigation or not. It's a confidential matter if we are.
well, that's confusing in my opinion.
It's not confusing, sir. That's the way all police departments and all other departments do it. And if we need more information, we can reach out to you. Or the government office needs to read or via contacts. Check the status.
Okay. Well, I'm confusing this whole process. I thought when there's a complaint filed, somebody has to follow up to acknowledge a complaint.
Not every complaint is also an investigation.
Do I then need to file an affidavit? I'm not sure what my next step is. I'm trying to be clear on what I need to do to move this along. Just saying it's confidential and I may never hear from you again doesn't solve the issue at all, sir.
I guess it sounds like you may want to reach out to the Denver offices. It seems to be out there.
Well, I've reached out to the Denver office and
FBI employee misconduct. Unless it's misconduct, we don't investigate unless it's like an internal affairs unit. Looks like they may be investigating something. I'm not sure. Like you were interviewed several times, but that will be with them.
Well, when they
we don't run their investigation. We don't do that here. That's what they do.
Okay, you don't run their investigation, so when they refuse to follow up to complete the investigation, who follows up to make sure they do their job?
Well, they do. The Denver office should,
You should, and when they don't, when they ignore their duties.
They don't have any evidence of what they're doing.
You don't have any evidence to what?
That's what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing out there.
What?
It says here, it looks like you were interviewed about 3 or 4 times by a 2013, I guess.
Going on starting on September 5th of 2012, going through February, March of 2013.
Right. Field operations, those divisions, their responsibility to investigate wherever appropriate and to follow up investigations. We don't call out there and order them to complete investigation. That's not we don't stuck with that.
Well, when they ignore their duties to me as a crime victim and hand me back my evidence in a court case 9.5 months later, I sent certified receipt last July saying close my file or continue the investigation. They refuse to respond. They have not. They've ignored that they will even do any further investigation, and that's why I followed up with Office Inspector General to turn around and pass my complaint to you guys, saying. And then I get 2 nice letters from the both of you, which doesn't tell me much of anything, but thanking me for stepping forward. Who's responsible for the misconduct and the gross misconduct and the derelict of duties from officials of the Denver office who refused to acknowledge that I even asked them to close my file, email after email after email after email after tons of phone calls and no response, and it's in their lap. Obviously, without a doubt, they are ignoring me, and you don't understand. See that as a problem or understand that?
Well, they're here 4 times.
Well, no, they asked me 4 times. They turn around and followed up and says, please contact me on March 31st or March 26th, 2013. And when I called them up about 20 messages and don't see the agent again until June 24th in a courtroom, hands me back my evidence that asked me to follow up on March 26th with a bunch of text messages, a bunch of emails, a bunch of phone calls saying I'm following up, and they ignore me, and then hands me back all my evidence 2 months later. And then when I write to the FBI, send certified letter to the FBI saying we have a problem here. Here's all the documentation, color law complaint filed 2 years ago on March 25th, 2012. When is somebody going to follow up and close this account or complete the investigation? And they sign certified receipt and don't even acknowledge that I sent them a letter. You say that's not ignoring me?
first case was this, which you had yourself back?
What kind of court case was it? It was a civil case. My wife come down with MS. She needed accommodations, called OSHA. And the day OSHA came in and do an investigation, I got terminated. We both worked for the same employer in a casino. I filed with the Colorado Division of Civil Rights. They had my case for 2 years, almost 2 years, I don't know, 18, 19 months. They dismissed my case saying lack of evidence for the right to appeal. I appealed. My appeal is 7 witness statements, signed witness statements. They accept my appeal, tell me there's going to be a special hearing. Special hearing, all of a sudden, the day of the special hearing, I'm not brought down. Instead, I'm sent a letter saying my case is dismissed. Period. I got 90 days to file a lawsuit in district court. I go get a lawyer. Never been in court in my life. Takes me another 2 years to get to court. The judge rules the jury will not hear the spousal discrimination case due to the right to work statute in Colorado. You can be terminated for any reason. Therefore, I was denied due process from a judge who took an oath of office to support the Constitution of the United States, which is the supreme law of the land. And then I come to find out 2 years later, when my case was dismissed, this judge was never a judge. He was a county court judge. He never took an oath of office. It was never followed the Secretary of State. He has no jurisdiction. He lacked total jurisdiction. He would be on the bench. And this is the guy who ruled against me. He's not allowing me due process of law. And when I readdressed the government, that's denied over and over and over again. So now I come to find out shortly thereafter the judge does have an oath of office, but it's forged. So now, oh no, it hasn't, sir. It has not at all. No, it hasn't been adjudicated. Well, we call it law complaint when someone is acting under official authority, without official authority, and that's my complaint with the FBI, a judge who has... I'm sorry. Say that again?
How are they acting out of the Colorado laws?
The guy never took an oath of office. It was required under the Colorado Constitution, Article 12, Section 8, 9, and 10, the U.S. Constitution, Article 3. All judges... what do you mean it has nothing to do with judges? Judge has a forged oath of office certified by the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State... We
don't investigate judges here.
Forgery by state employees.
Forgery here. This is internal FBI employee misconduct.
Okay, I understand that. I see what you're saying now. But my complaint was to the FBI about color of law, and you're saying, well, we don't... Well, yeah, you do. The FBI does.
Investigate color law.
Right.
All of the little unit, the person you're talking to now, we are internal affairs.
Okay, I'm with you now.
The general fraud case, or there's an oath of office, the judge, whatever, that needs to go to the FBI jurisdiction. Where's law? Apparently,
that's what I did, sir.
We investigate these matters here.
That's what I did. I did file the investigation locally. And they refused to investigate. So therefore, they're not completing their investigation as required by law for the same rights I have as everybody else has. They've denied me. And they've asked me to follow up. I've followed up. I've done everything they've asked me to. And then they turn around and just ignore me without even acknowledging I filed a total law complaint with their office. They have not completed their duties to me to close my account, to close my file, to close my complaint. So therefore, the complaint is still open. And if they're not going to close it, then who does? Isn't this not where you need to step in and find out why is this complaint not completed, not filed, not closed? No. Obstruction of
allegations of FBI misconduct.
Say that again?
The investigative allegations of FBI misconduct here.
Obstruction of justice is not allegations.
Who's obstructing justice?
The FBI, Kimberly Milka, by not completing the investigation of what I brought to...
Obstruction of justice, sir.
Well, could you clarify what that is?
What is it?
Well, her not completing the investigation. What is that?
I have no evidence that they have not completed the investigation. They simply may not need it anymore from you. This matter has been adjudicated at just about every level possible.
It hasn't been adjudicated at all, sir, by anyone.
It sounds like there's been several rulings. Has that been in your favor?
There has not been any rulings, sir. There has not been any rulings.
That is not what you just told me. You said that this hearing, to that hearing, this has been denied, this has been adjudicated.
No, here's what I said. I said the spousal discrimination case was dismissed. That's the only thing that's been adjudicated, and it was adjudicated under color of law illegally. So when I come to find out after the case, the judge is illegal. He has a forged oath of office. The Secretary of State admits they forged the oath of office. The First Judicial District admits the forged oath of office. The evidence I have on hand is certified by the Secretary of State. It is a forged oath of office. Judge had no legal authority to be back on the bench whatsoever. And I bring my case to the DA, the AG. They do nothing. I bring it to you folks in the Denver field office. 4 interviewers want me to follow up, and don't respond. That's not obstruction of justice.
You do not work obstruction.
I know you don't. The misconduct of FBI employees. They have not completed their duties. To myself and my wife.
You don't work issues here involving the performance of FBI employees either.
You don't investigate.
Misconduct for criminality allegations.
Okay, the criminality is obstruction of justice, not fulfilling their duties.
The FBI has broken the law through obstruction of justice, merely not completing an investigation, and that is your opinion. It's not obstruction of justice.
It's not opinion, sir. It's fact. It's fact. It's not an opinion.
I'm inside the story right now. Unfortunately, that's yours.
Okay, well, I'll be glad to send you a certified letter outlining all the exact details for your own review as fact. And if I get your address, I'll be working on that and get that out to you right away.
You can send us whatever you need.
Say that again?
You can send us whatever you need.
And what address would I use, sir?
Just be the address of the internet. FBI headquarters here in Washington, D.C. I don't know what the zip code is right now.
Well, you don't have a direct address for yourself?
No, I don't own the building. It's the FBI headquarters here in Washington, D.C.
Well, just like you said, you don't own the building, and
3041 FBI headquarters.
You know, just like you said, you don't own the building. When the Office Inspector General sent me a letter and said, "After careful review, they determine to transfer my complaint to your office," and you acknowledge, well, the Office Inspector General office or the building cannot make a decision. It's a fiction. A human being made that decision to transfer my complaint from the Office Inspector General to the FBI without any name discussed. And, you know, for somebody to make a decision, just like it says, you don't own the building can't make a decision, the office can't make a decision, a human being with a title has to make a decision, and no one has.
Simply the address is on the internet. Send it to FBI headquarters here in Washington, D.C., room 3041. If you have something additional to submit.
Well, did you not receive any of the evidence I've already submitted from the Office Inspector General?
We reviewed everything. The OIG sent us.
And you don't see any wrongdoing then? Or I'm sorry, I apologize. You said it's pretty much classified. You can't give me an answer on that.
We don't divulge that, no.
That's transparency with our government.
Not transparency, it's confidentiality.
No, it's not confidential. All you want
to know you about an ongoing investigation when you are not the subject. You merely are a witness, potentially.
I'm the victim. I'm the victim of this investigation.
Doesn't matter. Victim, witness, whatever. We would not keep you abreast at the local level either if there's a police department as to how an investigation is going. We take your information. It looks like you've been interviewed at least 4 times. And unless they need something more from you out of Denver, they may not need anything else. I don't know. You have to contact them to find out what the status of that is.
Well, sir, I
don't keep the status of field operations.
You know, you got this thing very, very confusing. And I apologize for that. You know, when I've done everything I can to reach out and give all my time and energy to the local FBI, and they've acknowledged what I've brought to, you know, they've asked me for proof, they asked me for evidence, they asked me for case law. They've done the interviews. I've given them all the evidence they need. I've got the reportings from the Secretary of State of millions of forged local laws. I got certified documentation from the Secretary of State saying that it's a forged document, and the judge had no judicial authority. He was never a judge in the state of Colorado ever at any time as a district court judge. Certified, verified, he's never taken an oath of office, therefore he has no jurisdiction whatsoever. And if somebody doesn't understand the violation of color law that has occurred, and nobody wants to do nothing about it, and you say, you know, the Denver FBI refused to acknowledge I even filed a complaint, hands me back my evidence 9.5 months, refused to acknowledge to close the file or move forward with the investigation. Don't even acknowledge that I even exist with this complaint, and you're saying they're doing nothing wrong. That's
I'm not saying anybody is doing nothing wrong or they are. I'm just saying that we are receiving information we processed. Our letter back to you was to acknowledge that, just so that you know that we can get it from the OIG.
And do you know what the next step is, sir?
I don't know what the next step of the investigation out of Denver is now.
And will I get some kind of correspondence from somebody?
Some from us, yes.
Well, no, I mean the next step. This is saying, yeah, we got your information.
We'll not get anything else from us regarding this matter. That's correspondence that we send to everyone. Gives us information.
So what is your...
It's like 2,000 complaints a year we get on average.
Yeah, that's...
Sent letter that we send to everyone.
I can appreciate that, and I understand that. Where do I go to get to have the FBI follow up on a criminal act committed by state? And I've called and they said they're going to call me back and tell me.
Sir, I can't go out there and make them call you. This is their investigation.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. You've given me some information. I don't know what, but you've given me, you told me what your position is and what, you know, where we're at with it. At least I know you have my information, and you know, whatever I can dig up and get off to you for further clarification on this matter, you know, I'll certainly be glad to do that. It might take me a little bit of time to do so. But thank you for taking my call, and have yourself have a good holiday weekend. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so we get these speakers off.
Say again.
Getting the speakers off here. Any comments or questions? Did you want to say anything about that, Dave?
I didn't hear the question.
I said any comments or questions from anybody, and Dave, did you want to say anything about that?
No, it was the same runaround. It was the same. You know, they know what's up. They just not acknowledging, and you know, how many times I have to go around the same racetrack over and over and over again to get the same answer. So you know, it's what a joke. What a fucking joke.
Anybody have any input? Gloria, anybody? Everybody's pretty quiet. Everybody's dumbfounded.
Hello?
I don't know. Yes, go ahead.
Hello. Oh,
Hi, Gloria.
so I cannot hear very well, but you're complaining about the oath of office. The officers do not have an oath. The judges.
Well, yeah, you're aware of that, Gloria. I'm complaining about the FBI not following up to investigate on my complaint. The FBI investigative unit in Washington D.C. not investigating the Denver field office. Who you know, why are they not following up on the investigation? That's what that issue was about.
I believe the FBI is they have a task for certain things, and it's their task are something about they will investigate something about somebody who's like writing fake bonds or things like that. They have their own department that assigns.
Well, hold on, Gloria. On the FBI, right on the website, Department of Justice, Color of Law is an investigative matter by the FBI. That's right on their website.
And the color of law?
Color of law, yes. It's the FBI's duties to investigate color of law. So,
investigate the color of law. Okay, but what about someone who's acting with the color of law and violating, taking people's properties and rights, basically? That may be different.
You're talking about a different matter, and I really don't know what that matter is. I'm talking about a government official who has no authority, acting as if he or she does have authority, and making court judicial rulings when there's no authority to make those rulings, or making any act to a citizen or you and I is against the law. That's what color of law is. So the color of law complaint is to be filed with the FBI for them to look into your color of law complaint when somebody in the government is violating your constitutional rights, when they're taking away your rights or they're committing other crimes with no authority. That's color of law.
That's why the government gave a Title 42 action to bring by the private citizen. I don't know if that's the FBI's duty. Even though it says color of law, maybe the color of law, it means actually it's their code, and it is called the color of law for us because it's not a law for us. But for them, it is a law, and our rights and laws are basically constitutional Bill of Rights. So the color of law, if somebody is actually adapting those codes and applying it to you, and claiming that you are a federal citizen and it applies to you, and come after you, then it is you have a remedy under Title 42 action. Basically,
Gloria, color of law. That's why it's a federal crime for anyone acting under color of law willfully to file a color of law complaint. Contact your local FBI office by phone. It's also a violation of civil rights. If you go to FBI.gov, it's sitting right there. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
All right, so what's the website? Let me go take a look. I should read it first because I cannot, understand. So what is that? www.fbi.org. FBI.org. Okay. I've never seen FBI arresting any charges or anybody acting with on the color of law. So I don't have the website. FBI.gov, right? Not org.
Yeah, I apologize. .gov, right?
Yeah, because I cannot open it. So basically, the best solution is you have to declare as a private attorney general. Then you could actually access to Supreme Court because the Supreme Court will hear any case that is in the name of the United States as a defendant. So that's the best way to come in as the defendant as the United States or the state. And then Supreme Court it falls under Supreme Court jurisdiction.
Let me read to you specifically what the issue is here. Mm-hmm. A person acts under quote-unquote color law when he or she uses the authority granted by a government agency, such as a court, to deprive another individual of a constitutional right, denied due process, denied trial by jury trial, denied right to readdress. Most color law violations fall into one of 5 categories: excessive force, sexual assault, false arrest and fabrication of evidence, deprivation of property, and failure to keep from harm. In this case, this is deprivation of property. What is that property? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is that liberty? The right to go to work. Right to work when and where I want, how I want, as long as I choose. And that liberty was stolen from me, and liberty is a property that cannot be taken away by anyone. It's a God-given, unalienable right. So that's the violation. So, you know, when a judge who's on the bench who has not taken an oath of office, then he's not a judge. That's the law. That's what it says specifically under well, you go to U.S. Constitution, Article 3. All judges must have their oath must act in good behavior. Have an oath of office and act in good behavior. If you don't have an oath of office, you cannot obviously act in good behavior. In Colorado Constitution, Article 12, Section 8, 9, and 10 says a judge must, number 1, a district judge, number 1, must take an oath of office. Number 2, file it with the Secretary of State. This judge did neither because he doesn't have an oath of office. He couldn't file it with the Secretary of State, and then he committed fraud on the court and fraud in the state by going ahead and having his county oath of office forged on the backside 3.5 years later by the Secretary of State, claiming, certifying, attesting that he is a district court judge when in fact he never was. So now we got Title 18, Section 505 and 506, forging a government seal, and government officials forging government seals. So now we got other issues involved. So anyways, I'm not going to say nothing more. That's you guys heard this before. Those that's been on the call previously. That's all I'm going to say.
So his next step is to go ahead and file a Title 42.
Yeah, basically the attorneys are under the authority of the Supreme Court because they are attorneys. And so you have to basically file it first in the District of the United States, District Court, lowercase, of the United States. That's where all the 50 states private citizens go. So you got to file the Article 3 court and go on the Admiralty / common law, United States 28, Title 28, United States Code Section 1333. And you basically have to request for grand jury trial, and the grand jury requests a grand jury, and the grand jury has to come in and investigate. And then if grand jury finds the conviction of the public officers, then there will be a U.S. attorney or private attorney general will bring the claim, and then there shall be a trial by jury assigned by the government, or the Article 3 judge will show up. And that's what happened in the Texas case. Private attorney general came in, and he requested the grand jury and trial by jury. So that's where the grand jury was elected, actually pulled by the commissioner of the county. And the grand jury came in, and they had a trial by jury in secret. Basically, the grand jury will be held in the secret and brought the charges. And there was about 19 federal judges and the county officers are arrested. So a private attorney general is very, very powerful. Be able to. There is one private attorney general in I think 50s actually arrested the king of mafia. No one can touch mafia, and he did it all by himself. And I believe he was working under attorney general, and he went, and did his own thing, and there's a mafia king got arrested. And then after that, he has to hide because he was in danger. So he wasn't acting as private attorney general anymore, and then he just kind of talked about what he did, all his life, and he never got killed by anybody because government hired him. So, so that's the private attorney general's life sometimes. Once you do something and then, you may indict somebody, but you may be in danger as well. So
you've given out a website about that in the past. What is that website for private attorney general?
There's a case called Sims versus Legal Eagle. You cannot obtain that. It's Article 3 court cases and grand jury cases are basically in secret. So, you may be able to obtain it, you may not be able to obtain it, but the title does exist. You can search Sims versus Illegal Eagle, and it is available.
Spell it.
I believe it's SIM, Sims, SIMS versus Legal Eagle. So
Legal Eagle.
Texas, it's a Texas case. And I know somebody who actually appeared in the court directly, and I spoke to him. And actually a private attorney general who actually went after them and put a lien on the county for $500 million and demanded $500 million. They actually wanted to settle for $3 million, then he did not take it, and they killed him.
Wow.
So, and because he did not take the witness protection program, and then either government will hide you with a social security number, new social security number, new name, everything you have to move, and but he didn't. And now I believe I heard that they're going after his son.
Mm.
And he put a lien, $500 million in the county, and then county actually got damaged by not be able to get any funds or whatever by the bad credit. So I guess they vindicated him or something, So when he was on the way to a friend of his, and he was found dead in a hotel. So this is a direct information,
There was a case that I was telling you about, and I can't get into too many details about it. I was talking to you about it, Dave. There is a person, I don't want to say male, female, I'm not going to try to give away too much details, and this person is not talking, okay? So I'm going to preface it with that. They've been gag ordered, and they are not talking to me. This what I'm saying came out prior to the gag order, and what they found was that no one in the area was taking their oaths of office, not the cops, not the judges, no one. And so Dave, I couldn't remember where they told me that they found this information, but it was definitely in the revised statutes where it talks about being able to go after them. This person complained to the FBI, and quite possibly Department of Justice. I'm not sure of the agency specifically. Okay, so they complained and said, look, none of these people have oaths of office. What are you going to do about it? So they gag ordered that person. But what this person had done is found out what the fine is for these people that don't have their oath of office, and it was $25,000 per offense. And they went after them all and named them all. And so now Department of Justice has gag ordered that person. So I don't know what the outcome of this. That person and one offspring of theirs both have been gag ordered, and as far as I know, they're the only two that know the details. So not good. But the point is that's something to dive into. But just know that that's what happened to them, is that they were gag ordered, and I can't get anything else.
So basically, you could move as a private with the people. Actually, under the common law, you could give a affidavit and notices, okay, through the notary or through the two witnesses, and mail it for you. Okay, so then they can testify. So basically, you send the notices and you default. So basically, it's saying that if you if you are acting as a lawful official of the Federal Republic, called the United States of America, then please send me the oath and bond. Okay, and personal information, person have to identify themselves, who they are, and that's under the law. And you have a right to ask because you are private citizen who has allegiance to the United States of America, and you basically stated that you're going to protect the country. So the officials have a duty. So now you request the oath and bond, and if they don't provide it for you, then just say, hey, that will be $1 million. Just put a fee, and you send a notice. And if he defaults it, now whether it doesn't matter then, he acquiesces that he doesn't have an oath of office, proper oath of office, okay? The proper oath of office has to be executed under Title V United States Code, Section 3331, 3332, 3333. They have to go through this certain process. It cannot be one day, okay? So you basically ask, what?
What was the title again?
5 United States Code, USC, 5 USC, Section 3331, 3332, 3333. So it has to go through months, okay? It cannot be done in one day. That's why nobody has a proper oath of office.
Well, you know.
So basically, you request if they default. Now you have a right to now they acquiescence, okay, and it is running on the estoppel acquiescence. So take a look at the doctrine of estoppel of acquiescence, and now once the other party did not rebut your affidavit, they cannot come back in any court. They just waive the trial by jury. They waive everything, okay? So now you can indict these people. So now you can bring on a Title 42 action that this person doesn't have oath. Whether they provide it to you or not provide it to you, whether they have it or not have it, it doesn't matter. If they don't give it to you,
Gloria, I have it certified by the state that he has a forged oath of office the Secretary of State forged. I have all that documented and certified by the state. I've got a certification he has no oath of office. Then I received from the court themselves, here's his oath of office. They had the forgery on the back side that I never realized was there.
All right, so you have to default on that. Anything you claim, you have to default on that. Then it is what the affidavit does is your claim stands the truth. Whatever you wrote, if they do not answer you, whatever you wrote under oath, you send it under oath that I have witnessed your oath is forged. It's a fraud. All right, and here is an evidence. Now, you are making a claim. Now you put on evidence. Now you send 3 times. They defaulted. Now that stands the truth. Do you understand? So whatever you have an issue, you write it down and you make the law. You know the sovereign makes the law. That's how you make the law. Okay? So if you're a sovereign, you act like a sovereign. You do these things under the common law, okay? We are the court, and no one else is court. You, okay? You are the sovereign, and you move as a sovereign. So you cannot be separated from sovereign. The sovereign is in the people. So you are one of the people, then you act like one of the people. Okay, and the people are the court. So you move as one of the people, and the witnesses testify that you signed it, okay? And the people are the court. So, and then there's a notary official who is working for you. You pay a little bit of money, and they will do things for you because everybody's time, has to be worth something. So you got to give something, So people have to work together and create a judgment. That's how you create a judgment. Once they defaulted, now the notary has to create a default. Say, I sent this day and this day and this day, and and he defaulted. That's it. That's a judgment. So you move as a solvent court. Do not go to these agencies and complain. You are the court. You and the notary. Okay. Then there's a clerk of the court. Then there's a secretary of the court. All are willing to support your document. They give you a nice gold seal. Once all you got 3 seals on it with your signature, that's called tribunal seal. You just got a judgment. You just create a judgment, and this belongs to the Republic. All right. So anyone who is a U.S. person has to pay the debt to you. So, so basically, it's a wasting time if you go to any other sources, really. And I keep telling you guys, just move in private. If you are sovereign, then act like a sovereign. Do not even go anybody to ask for anything, and don't complain about any U.S. officials. Just do it. It's so simple.
I appreciate that.
And, even it doesn't matter whether you're in court or whether you're outside the court. Just keep moving as you're the sovereign. Doesn't matter what our attorney says. Our attorney trying to indict me for sovereign citizen. I don't give a damn. I'm just following the law that they have said that I can do this and I can do that. So I'm just doing whatever, the law says. They said, oh, I can tender a bond. Yeah, okay, here's a bond. I can tender. Here's the law. I can pull out all these codes and I can defend myself, my action. They could say, oh, you're sovereign? Why? Oh, you tender a fraudulent bond? Okay, here is the law. Your code says I can do it. Tell me why I cannot do it. Just we the people could tender a bond and reduce the debt? Okay, so I did. So where's the sovereign citizen? So I always challenge them. And then they crawl onto the holes. They know that I'm coming. They know that I'm coming. And I'll be suing under Title 42, And I don't care whether I'm in a court or not. Just keep sending the notice.
Does that help, Dave?
Does it help? Well, some paperwork in an example of would help processes. You say all these wonderful things about just keep moving, move forward with.
Yeah, the most important thing that you have to know is when you send the documents, you send the notices what is contained. It's like when you're recording in this clock, okay? You're sending it to the clock with a registered mail. You give the clock what it contains, right? It's the same thing. When notary is presenting, notary have to say that this document, name this document and how many pages, and you don't have to sign anything. Just prepare, look like a notary prepared it, and I'm a notary, and I'm sending I'm sending this document to this person's name, and this document contains this and that, and I'm the notary. I have a right to do this, and so you and say this sheet is to prepare the sheet says she's going to sign this after she sends it out. So don't say something that don't sign it. Don't sign anything. Just keep it empty. Just to say this is a reference. What contains. That's it. This will be signing after the notary sends it out. So she testified after. She can't testify before and she sends it out. Then it's a lie, right? She cannot say, I send it out. So she has to keep it empty and just to say reference, all right, and send it out. But then she has to go to another notary and swear that I am a notary. I act as a witness, okay? And I said I send this thing out. Or you could wait a month, whatever you gave a notice. You know, then after that, she added another says, notary affidavit, a mailing of due presentment, and record custodian and non-response by the respondent. You know, then you add another sentence. So this mail has been sent out by me. The rest of mail number, prepare envelope. You know, and you know, and this confirmed by USPS service that this was delivered. So she goes to a notary and swears in front of another notary. She just signs the signature, not put the seal on it. You can't put two seal on it. The other notary put a seal on it, a rubber stamp. Boom. That's it. Now there's a two notary working for you. One as a witness. One, she take an oath. Now, once the two notaries involved and do this process 3 times, they're done. You know, say any response, please send to the notary, because people in 50 state and union, okay, anything that we do, it falls into international commerce, and we have unlimited ability to contract. So whatever we put the signature, it becomes offer. And then the government could take that offer and they can make money on it. So we supposed just give the signatures, and that's it. And anybody asks that, now you challenge it. So you challenge it. Any debt collector, challenge it. Where's the signature? They're gone anyway. It's not in their hand. So anyway, you know, you gotta do this 3 times, and then notary at the end. You know, I send this out, default. I send this out, default. You got a default. Now you have to present that to the federal judge, because the debt is authorized by law under 14th Amendment Constitution. Then under Title 31, Section 3701B, it says federal judge, appropriate federal judge, will determine whether it is a claim or debt.
Gloria, what's interesting on that is my documentation was presented to a federal judge who was initially the trying to think of the word. He was the head boss in the district, whatever you want to call it, and he was appointed a few years ago. He's sitting on the bench in the federal court as a federal judge, and he's received all the documentation about this judge being illegal, and he turned around and told me the judge is good because he appointed him, and he acknowledges on his own letterhead the judge has no oath of office as required by law, yet then he turns around and says he was good, when his duty and responsibility was to pass it up, to report it to whoever he has to report it to, for them to look for an investigation to begin. So a federal judge has received the documentation himself, who didn't do what he's supposed to do.
Well, what kind of document you send it to him?
Say again?
What kind of document you send it to him?
What kind of document?
Yeah.
Forged oath of office.
I don't understand. I told you to bring this judgment to the court. I don't know what you're talking about. If you have any issue, go after the party, defaults, and then you bring it to the federal judge. But you have to get all the authentication seal prepared, and has to have 3 seals: notary seals, county notary seals, secretary notary seals. It has to be tribunal seals in your document. Otherwise, it's not authenticated. It's not worth it. So people have to understand that there is a ways to move in private. You want to be a sovereign, then move in private. You say you're a private man or private woman, then you got to move in private. You know? And we are here doing international commerce, don't we? You're saying that the United States Inc. is a foreign? Okay, then treat them as a foreign. Then you got to move in as another country. You know? So you claim that the United States of America, 50th state, is a foreign, then do it as a foreign. You know? Then you claim one thing and you act the other. And that's the problem with the people. People have a lack of knowledge.
Name the 3 seals again, Gloria.
Huh?
You said secretary seal, notary, and what was the third?
County, clerk of the court. Very important, yes.
What was that last one, Gloria?
County and secretary of the state. You have to understand the secretary of a state's duty. She is a foreign affairs officer. So if you claim that you are in a different country than the United States, then secretary or notary or clerk of the court has to connect that breach. You can't just go to the United States. It's a foreign country. That's why the attorney also becomes a notary. An attorney is a foreign agent. And why do you have to create a corporation and you have to register with the state of Secretary of State? Then you have to get a foreign agent. Why? Because the foreign agent is the one who is doing things in between. So you know, people have to understand what the duty of the notary public, the duty of the clerk of the court, a county notary. Clerk of the court is county notary, isn't it? They have a door function, and the clerk of the court is putting all the seals on the document, and without her seal, there's no judgment. So clerk has to have a seal and have to put in all the documents, and then basically the clerk of the court also is this clerk of the county notary. So if you're going to put a notary, and that notary is in the 50th state in union, and now that notary has to be authenticated by the county notary. So if you go to the county, they have all the names of the notaries in their book. They have to, the county notary arrange, have a record of all the notary, what day she started and what day, her duty ends, And so they said, okay, this notary who took an oath, she's good standing. The county put the seal on it. And then the secretary says, yep, the county notary is in good standing. Then what is that saying? Your document says your oath that you just put it on is totally valid. And no one can say, nope, it is wrong. So you got 3 seals on it, right?
Right.
So if somebody...
Question, Gloria.
Huh?
I have a question. This is Betty.
Yeah.
How do you know all of this stuff? Are you a paralegal?
No,
I'm better than that.
Better than that. I study.
You must study all the time.
I study day and night. Yep, day and night. I don't sleep so many nights. I don't sleep.
All right, I have another question of you. On a previous call, you mentioned that you were naturalized, or you have naturalization papers or something.
Yeah, I come from another country. I wasn't born here.
The reason but you say that you're not a citizen. You have the naturalization paper, but you're not a citizen of the U.S.
Yes, I'm not a citizen. No, I'm not a citizen.
How do you figure that? Because I'm naturalized too, because I was born out of the country to American citizens.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my understanding from what I checked on the Secretary of State, I think it is, that issues those papers. And it's my understanding you're automatically a citizen of the U.S. if you're naturalized.
Who say so?
I said that's my understanding from what I saw on the web.
Your understanding. Yeah, everybody's understanding is wrong.
But do you have, can you cite me where I could find that I'm not a citizen?
You have to study on a Naturalization Act.
I already did.
All about, and you cannot find it?
I was I'm automatically, as the daughter of American citizens born out of the country, I was automatically.
Yes, so you said by studying it, you said you found American citizen.
Pardon me?
You're saying you found as American citizen in their law.
Understanding from the Secretary of State on, the citizenship procedure or whatever, that you're automatic.
Secretary of State. What kind of evidence do you have?
I'm sorry, what?
What kind of evidence do you have from Secretary of State? You keep saying Secretary of State.
Is a naturalization paper. And the only reason I got that, my dad was afraid that, he was worked for an airline, and he was concerned that if war broke out and I was back in Brazil, that they would not allow me to leave. So he urged me to get the naturalization. And actually, I really didn't need it because they're both...
So you got a naturalization. You have a certificate of naturalization, correct?
I think so, yeah. I think that's what it is.
So you're saying that you got it from Secretary of State, and you're saying that you're American citizen. So do you have anything to support that?
Yeah, my original birth certificate.
And where it says? Does it say that? Does it say it on your birth certificate that you are American citizen?
When I was born in Brazil, my dad had to go to the American embassy or consulate, whatever it was.
I don't care all of that. I want you to take a look at your document, and you're saying that you are American citizen. Does it say anywhere that you are American citizen?
It does in the Secretary of State's. Any child.
Yeah, you keep saying that it's in the Secretary of State. Where it says in the Secretary of State? You have the document or what?
I have it. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Take a look at it and make sure that what you're saying is correct, because don't mislead me. I need exact information.
Okay, I'll have to find it and take a look and get you another time on that.
They may say you are in your passport you are a citizen of the United States. You are a citizen or / national of the United States United States. That's what it says.
Betty, there was a couple things that you wanted to say. Do you want to take those couple minutes and say that now?
No, that's let's save that for another time.
So you have to look at your document, and then you come to me and talk to me. I need to see exactly what's in your document.
All right. What country were you born in?
Republic of South Korea.
Oh, okay.
All right, so look for that, Betty, and then I'll put you two together this week, or it can be on next week's call, however you want to do it.
Yeah. I haven't. I just didn't know how I could go about extracting myself from this phony.
First, you have to know what words they used and categorize you. If you don't know that in your document, then first you have to investigate. You have to identify how they identify you.
Okay, I'll have to get back with you later, and not later this week, but maybe next call.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Roger, are you there?
Yeah.
We have Roger on the call. Okay, so I had talked to you a little bit earlier this evening, and there was a couple things that you had sent out an email on. One that I thought was really interesting, and I replied back to you this week. It was something called black mica, and then you had emailed me again saying you weren't sure about the company itself, but the product itself was kind of interesting. Do you want to explain what black mica is?
Well, what was the emails about?
Is that the same Roger that I talked to earlier today?
Yeah.
Okay. About the purification of the water with the mineral or whatever the black mica is.
Oh, that's just basic. Yeah, that was referencing your Thursday.
You're cutting out just a little bit. Say that again.
Yeah, with Gordon and that on the mineral stick.
Okay.
I thought we were going to talk about the quantum energy generator.
You can talk about that as well.
Okay.
Take the next few minutes. Go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, yeah, like I say, this quantum energy generator is it was Nikola Tesla's patent, and so this fixtheworldproject.org or hopegirl2012.wordpress.com. They are putting together. They started one in Pennsylvania. Hope has put she actually put out a letter, evidently internationally, people that had an idea that would help humanity, and I think she got over 200 replies from 30 different countries. Anything that would help out humanity, but her father-in-law got onto Nikola Tesla's generator. And so he has put one together, Then they took it over to Taiwan, and they put one together there. Now, most of these parts are all handmade, so it's a very slow process. There's some CNC machine work that needs to be done on some of the parts, but basically it's pretty basic. So they went to Taiwan, and there were engineers and Japan and China there. From there, she took the idea that, now this is all open source. There's no patents. And this is crowdfunding, which means you put the idea out there, and if you want to fund it, send in some money on FundMe. And they got way more than what they needed. But anyway, they went to Taiwan. Then she went up to Holland. Then in April, she brought this information to the Alchemy Convention. There was a 3-day convention there in London. Then they went down to Morocco. And people were bringing parts from England and the United States in their suitcases just to get enough parts put together to build one over there. And they built one, and it's all related to residents. And they so far have been able to establish residents wherever they've built one. They have now, what this is, it takes a 1.5 DC motor and to start the generator. Once the generator is producing enough electricity, say, I think it's 665 watts is what this motor requires, then it's the generator powers the motor. So you disconnect the motor from the 110, and it's self-sustaining. So now they have got it to go over unity 33 times. So if you're putting out 1,000 watts, and it's 33 times over that, and they have got it up to as high as 40,000 watts or 40 kilowatts. So this is just something that's happening. I guess it's taking over Japan and China. It's called the Quig generator. And if you want more information, I can give you 2 websites.
Go ahead.
Go to.
If you have them, go ahead and give them out.
Okay. The first one is Hope Girl, HOPEGIRL 2012.wordpress.com. The other one that mainly is Fix the World Project. Fix the World Project.org. All this information, there's videos and everything on there. So, but this is, you can put this in a car. You can do supply your house, your business, and these are rough looking. But as I guess they've already did a lot of tweaking between the different countries on these. They have one over there in Morocco, in a little village called Achton, Morocco. They got one well, and some people got water pumped out of there, and other people don't. So they're going to contribute or give quick generator to that village because they are renting property and so, and it can go 110 or 220 or 30.
And they can find all this info out on those 2 websites?
Yep.
Okay. So let me give those sites again, you guys. It's Girl, H-O-P-E, Hope Girl 2012.wordpress.com. And the other one is fixtheworldproject.org, if I wrote this down proper, fixtheworldproject.org. This was Tesla Energy. I understand the generators are about 7,000. Is that what you told me earlier?
Well, that, covered maybe the first one, but they're, again, handmade.
Right. Yeah. Nobody's expecting a miracle for sure. This is just definitely something of interest and potentially a way down the road to eliminate oil and wars and reasons for wars and oil, et cetera. And it's just another way of people breaking off from the government, which is a great thing. And since they've made it open source, hopefully people aren't going to be dying over this. That means the information's getting out and they can't stop it. And I take it that they really don't like open source, which is really good for us. There's some other things that people are doing which I think are really cool. There's a company called Uber, U-B-E-R. If you're looking to make some extra money, what's happening is taxi cab drivers, they have all this legislation and licenses and things that they have to deal with. And Uber is you can go and sign up and say somebody needs a ride across town. You've already been checked out by the company Uber, and you can give them a ride and you can pick up the fare, and you don't have all of the red tape that a taxi cab company would have. So the cab companies hate it. Now, I will say this. Uber, the owner of Uber, is not a good guy. In the sense that he wants all cars to be electric, and he wants the ability of us driving the cars to go away. And so he's like super pushing for it. And there's already things that are in motion. That part doesn't hit the mainstream press, but that's the behind the scenes part, that they think that they're going to have these cars that are computer run within the next 2 years on the road, eliminating drivers altogether. So anyway, just in the meantime, if you need to make some extra income, that's definitely a way to go pick it up. Also, there's some websites if you have extra space in your house. I know this has nothing to do with law calls, but a lot of times people need to pick up some extra income, especially when you are fighting these battles. There's some websites called Airbnb.com, Airbnb.com, where people are renting out bedrooms and or whole sections of their house, and they're picking up, 80, 90, 100, and if it's a really nice house, they're picking up more than that per day. Imagine if you've got a room that you can separate them from the rest of you and you're safe sleeping, you can make an extra $3,000 a month just off of a bedroom. So there's Airbnb. There's also VRBO, vacation rental by owner. And again, you fix up a nice little quiet room. Some rent for $60 a night, some rent for $100 a night. It's a way to make some little extra income while you're fighting your case or just dealing with the bad economy. I know a lot of times people that are on our side of the fence are always looking for something. And I'm sure there's way more sites out there. Flipkey.com is another one. And I have a real good friend in Las Vegas, and she was telling me about a lady in Las Vegas that she knows very well. They're in business together, and she makes about $3,000 per month renting out one room in her house. It's always busy. It's always rented. So if that's appealing to you, she does hers on Airbnb. So, all right. So off of that, Betty, are you sure you didn't want to say anything? Because I know you and I had talked before the program. Chronicles, you didn't want to say anything? Okay, and then do we have Craig on the line?
Yeah, Randy?
Yeah, I'm still here, yep.
Okay, great. Two of you reached out, so Craig, I think you're up next, but Roger, did you have one last thing to say?
Well, we talked about this healing center down there in Peru.
Yes.
I can give you the website for Kim.
Okay, go ahead.
Where to go? This is a big one. X.
Okay.
I, the number 4,
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, you were being sarcastic. Okay. xi4.com?
Yeah.
I got that right? Okay. And Gloria, I want you to hear this next. I want you to hear Craig when he comes up. Okay, thank you for that. Now, that's a healing center, you guys, in Peru, and I'm taking that they do alternative medicine, and they do the radio frequency type stuff. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody take time in the next few days. Just check it out. It's just good to be aware of these things, xi4.com. And it is a healing center that's opened up in Peru, and they're doing some amazing, amazing things there. So everyone, please check that out. Thank you, Roger.
Okay.
Okay, Craig, before we get too late.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Why don't you explain to everybody, you have a great story about what happened to you, and I definitely want you to talk about the play-by-play with the cop without taking too long, and don't leave out the details of probable cause and those kinds of things. And then when you talk about the courtroom, I want you to talk about the judge and what the attorneys did, et cetera. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, my name is Craig. I was basically pulled over on September 15th of 2013 by an Indiana state trooper traveling on the 8090 tollway in northern Indiana. The trooper's name was Trooper Meade. Trooper Meade pulled me over. I was in a vehicle that is a company vehicle I use for work. He pulled me over and I rolled my window about halfway down. He approached the vehicle on the passenger side and asked me, for my identification. I asked him why I was being pulled over and what the reason of the stop was. He says because I crossed the fog line, either crossed or touched the fog line, and he wanted to make sure I wasn't tired or impaired by either drugs or alcohol. And so I was kind of a little leery about that, but he asked that I roll my window all the way down. And in good faith, I did so. I rolled my window all the way down. And what the cop did was there's basically a running board on my passenger side. He stepped up on the running board and put his head and shoulders inside the vehicle. And that kind of I've never seen a cop ever do that move before. I've been pulled over plenty of times. But I had just gotten off of a podcast talking about, our rights and how we respectfully assert our rights during a traffic stop. And I knew obviously this cop was violating my Fourth Amendment right of search and seizure. He didn't even ask for my ID. He just as soon as the window went down, his head and shoulders came in. He was looking around, and as I started talking to him, my voice was quivering and cracking. And then the cop claimed that I was chewing my gum at a high rate of speed, and that's what he put in this police report. I gave him my information and license and registration, and he went back to his cop car, and I rolled up my windows and I locked my door, and then I noticed that there was a second car that had pulled up right behind his car, and so when the cop came back to the car, he came up on the driver's side this time, asked me to step out of the car. I said, for what reason? And he says he wanted to do a field sobriety test to see if I was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And so I rolled up my window. I manually locked my doors because the only door that was open was my driver's side. And then I put my keys in my back pocket and I hid it to the back. And keep in mind, this is a busy interstate, so I'm walking to the back of my car and trying to avoid traffic. He basically, I asked him at that particular time if I was being detained. And he said, no. And then my next follow-up question was, am I free to go? And he says, no. And so he said he wanted to do a sobriety test. So I basically did a sobriety test, the horizontal stagnance and gaze test, and, everything checked out. And then he wanted to search the vehicle. He's like, I'd like to search the vehicle. I said, I do not consent to searches. And so, therefore, he did pat me down and checked me prior to the horizontal stagnance and gaze test for weapons my keys were in my back pocket. He did not locate the keys. He was just looking for weapons. But he went around my vehicle checking doors and trying to get into the vehicle and looking inside the window. After my horizontal gaze and stagnance test, he basically says, well, I'm going to walk my dog around the car. The gentleman that pulled me over was a canine unit. And so I told him, I said, I don't consent to searches. And he said, I'm going to have you stand over here with, this other Trooper Bonner. And I stood behind his car and in between the second car and the first car. And so basically the officer took his canine unit out and walked around the vehicle. And he came back and he says, where are the keys? My dog basically hit your vehicle and was positive for narcotics in the car. And at that point in time, I didn't say anything. I just remained silent. And he says, oh, you locked him in the car, huh? And I didn't say anything. I just literally exercised my rights, remained silent, didn't say a word to this guy. And basically he found the keys, he got them, and then he proceeded to go ahead and find what he was looking for. He did end up finding a small amount of marijuana inside a toilet bag, zipped up inside of a suitcase. And basically, after about 20 minutes on the side of the road in my handcuffs, the guy, my arms are starting to hurt. I didn't say anything to that second cop. I basically came up and says, what's this? And he just kind of produced his evidence and said, what's this? And I said, I respect it, like to remain silent. So basically they took me to jail, and then I, spent a couple hours in jail. Long story short, basically the probable cause when I read the officer's testimony, for obviously pulling me over was crossing the fog line, and said that could potentially, harm somebody. But he said that my nervousness and my gum chewing was a probable cause for him to, conduct a search or investigation into, if I was sober or under the influence. And he actually did put that in the police report. When I did retain an attorney, so I did file the paperwork with the attorney, and he's the one that appeared in the pretrial hearings and all the other things. I turned down their plea bargain and decided to, have this thing go to trial. We did do in February a motion to suppress hearing where we were able to, obviously cross-examine the witnesses, both the trooper and both troopers, and get their full story. The motion to suppress hearing was on February 28th of 2014. We basically learned that when the trooper Meade came up and was given testimony, basically what tipped him off to me being some sort of suspicious person is the fact that I was asking questions that 98% of the motorists that he pulls over do not ask. And he even said on the stand that he thought I was a sovereign citizen. And these were perfectly legal and lawful questions that I was asking Trooper Meade, trying to respectfully and assertively, assert my rights during a traffic stop while he was obviously violating my rights. I was trying to, respectfully and assertively block those moves, but nonetheless, that's basically what he came up with. Hey, you're a sovereign citizen. You're asking legal and lawful questions. You must be hiding something. And so he basically said, oh, you must be hiding something, type of attitude, and that's why he brought his dog out and decided to conduct a canine search. But the lab came back, the amount of marijuana that they did find was 0.05 grams. And so they did give me a charging document that said that they were going to, charge me for 1 count of possession and 1 count of paraphernalia. Now, the prosecutor signed that particular document, the deputy prosecutor, but then there was another trooper that signed that document who was not on scene. During the motion hearing on the 28th, both of the troopers that were cross-examined said that there was no videotape and there's no audio recording. So this third trooper, who is signing under pain of penalties of perjury that this all happened and this is what was found, was on the charging document. Another funny thing that kind of happened, I don't think it's funny at all, but it's something I've never seen. During the testimony of the second trooper, because we had my attorney basically motioned to have the witnesses separated during testimony of this motion hearing, the attorney was asking a lot of questions, and during that second trooper, who's the only witness other than Trooper Meade to this stop, the judge started nodding his head off, and eventually he nodded his head off and he fell asleep on the bench while he's listening to the testimony while my attorney's asking questions. And the prosecutor turned to my attorney and says, "The judge is sleeping." And pretty much at that point, my attorney stopped asking questions. The trooper on the stand stopped stating any of his answers. And I'm just like, listen, I thought I was in freaking La La Land here. Like, you got to be absolutely kidding me. This guy fell asleep like a big fat turkey. You know, just sitting there, his chin right on his big old fat tummy and everything. And I just sat there and I was just like, I just didn't know if that was real that I was looking at or what just happened. But nonetheless, my attorney, nobody said a word to this guy. He just, no one went over and nudged him and said, "Hey, Your Honor, why don't you wake your fat ass up," or anything. He just fell asleep. So it would be funny if it wasn't attached to me being, charged with things. But that's kind of the thing I was running into in terms of my particular case. So needless to say, another interesting thing is that my attorney was really harping on is the time of the stop. The officers, in all their wisdom, recorded the time that the stop started, but nobody has any recollection or noted time of when it stopped. So, the search could have taken the whole day, but that was what my attorney was focusing on. I was more or less like, well, what about some of these rights violations that are going on? Really, he didn't really think that was all that important. Obviously I'm in an administrative venue, and basically he was just trying to focus on, the time of the stop factor. But needless to say, the motion to suppress was denied, and then we filed some motions to correct errors for the transcript, which was 143 pages long for a motion hearing transcript, of which the moment when the judge fell asleep was not noted, but my particular laughing at a particular question asked to the second trooper was noted, where I was laughing and smiling, but the judge's falling asleep during testimony of the only witness was not. So that's kind of the gist of the story. I basically, the attorney says right now, well, your case is ripe for appeal. I can refer you to another, appellate attorney, and you're just going to have to, they're going to bring this, this evidence into the court, and he basically says you're going to get a conviction whether it's a jury trial or a bench trial. So just come in on the 31st of July, this month, and you'll get a conviction, but then you have to file an appeal, and we'll fight this in appeals with obviously another attorney. And so I'm just kind of looking at this. I'm just like, an appeals attorney is going to cost me $3,000 to $5,000. I'm going to go and get convicted, of this with their evidence, but nothing was brought to the point of fruit of the poisonous tree. I brought that up to his attention. That didn't seem to be applicable because that only applies to homes, not to automobiles, apparently. So that's the opinion of the attorney. But right now, I feel there's just a mountain of civil rights violations on the part of Trooper Meade, the second Trooper Bonner, and the trooper that signed the indictment papers, who wasn't even on scene, along with the prosecuting attorney who signed those papers as well. And then there our sleeping judge who decided that, a due process of law involves a nap. But that's basically where I'm at. I am considering doing the Title 42 action against these folks because that's the only recourse I really have of bringing their civil rights violations to light. And I am going to actually file the notice of distress on the judge and the deputy prosecutor. But I just wanted to kind of, talk to you guys tonight and just kind of throw out my situation to you, and just kind of get some feedback in terms of where I'm at.
Great. That's an awesome story. I heard Gloria. Was that you in the background, Gloria, laughing?
No, that was Betty.
Oh, it's Betty. Oh, yeah, it's a good story, isn't it?
I spent some years going to court. I could sort of relate to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, who wants to weigh in on that? Give him some advice. What should he do next?
I will advise him to go into the criminal civil procedure, the rule of procedure. He states, and what it says, what we will say is that there shall be a warrant executed by the U.S. Marshal, then it will be signed by the judge and has to serve to you, and also the complaint has to be served, and complaint has to describe what the crime has been committed as by the probable cause, and has to give you immediate trial by jury. So all criminal case on the Bill of Rights, Sixth Amendment, that shall give a trial by jury. So they cannot
not a jury trial.
Right.
There's
trial
a
by
difference.
jury.
Trial
by jury of my peers means someone has to understand your Bill of Rights, Constitution, and otherwise they're not qualified. So now you can disqualify the juries if they do not understand. And if they do not understand, they cannot be the jury, period. So you got to demand that. And so put all those codes out that, hey, you are the officers, you are bound by this, and my law is a Bill of Rights, and you have to follow this. That's my law. And that's your code. So you have to follow bound by your codes. And you say you're going to swear that you're going to support the Bill of Rights, so you have to give this, this is my rights. So you have to differentiate that, okay? And you put the declaration of, the affidavit of status, who you are, and it should, you got to have some kind of evidence that you are actually categorized by the government that you are basically a 50-state union citizen. All right, so that will be a birth certificate, and you have to authenticate it by Secretary of State, and you have to declare your domicile. So domicile of the several state, republic states. So you have to come in with the affidavit of status. And so, before you sue in federal court under diversity of citizenship, you have to default them first. So you have to send the notices and by the notary and default them. So now you have some evidence that you have a government official who is assigned by the Secretary of State, a commissioner, actually created a default. Okay, and here is the default. And so that's how you come in. The federal court will not recognize if you do not have any default. Okay, they're not going to waste your time, the time that you're going to default in their court. Okay, they don't have that kind of time. So you have to do it yourself outside of the court. Then then you can come in on a federal court with evidence.
And I see, when I was looking at civil rights cases, the Northern Indiana U.S. District Court actually has a complaint of 42 U.S.C. 1983, and actually has a form that they want you to use for that. I forwarded on to the Title 42 Action Information one. There's a PDF and a Word format of this document. Basically, if there's a civil action or civil rights violation, they want you to put this on this particular form, name the persons, their agency, and the government title that they have, and they want to know how many people or defendants are you suing. So is that something that obviously is in conjunction with doing a default?
No,
the
that's
default
nothing
thing.
wrong, nothing to do with it. That paper is just for you to file in court.
Okay. But this default is something that I would have to create this document
myself.
myself.
You have to create an affidavit, exactly what happened.
Okay.
And then you can put the fee schedule in there, and if you do this, this will be charged. So upon the default, this fee will be charged. And and I will create a foreign judgment against you, or I will enter a judgment in District Court of the United States. So you send a notice, and then and present it by notary, and then you wait 21 days. You give another 7 days, and give another 3 days. That's it. In 30 days, you got default. But you have to give them like 3 days for business days to, for them to receive the mail. After they received, you got to give at least those days that you promised, that 21 days. So you wait. And then you wait another 3 more days for the mail traveling come back. And if they did not answer, now you can create a, affidavit by notary that they did not answer. Or you can do that later. You could just send it right after send it. Notary testify that I sent it out. That's it. Or you wait another, month later, and the notary says I sent it out and I never got any response. But make sure you send it and saying, administrative notice. Please respond to this notary. She is a third-party witness. So please, any documentation, send it to her, because you are the man of the republic, right? So they cannot send it to you because you are running as a man. They are running as a U.S. citizen. So U.S. citizen can only deal with the U.S. citizens. They cannot deal with private entities.
Okay,
so that's why
there
is a foreign affairs officer, is a notary public who is designated. So you could say, hi, designated so-and-so notary. The police will send it to her. If you send it to me, it will be disregarded, and it will not handled by the notary.
So I would have to send this to a foreign affairs officer at the U.S. District Court in Northern Indiana?
Whoever you are going to default, whoever you're going to bring as a defendant.
Oh, I see. So I have to send that to the defendant.
You got to default them. Whatever you say, affidavit, they have to answer to you.
So do you follow what she's saying? So you're going to do an affidavit of status.
Affidavit of status, which is something I have, and then I'm going to do an affidavit of events of what happened. Yep. And that includes the events of the stop, the events of the arrest, the events of the motion hearing. Okay. And then
you're gonna name names, and you're gonna send that. He's gonna have the notary send that, correct, to the clerk of court, the secretary of state, and there was a third one.
The notary.
Go study what's a letter of rogatory is.
What's that?
Letter of rogatory.
You'll have to spell that. I wasn't hearing that clearly.
Letter of rogatory. Rogatory.
Yeah. Oh, regulatory. So it's a letter of regulatory or rogatory?
Rogatory.
R-O-G-A-R-T-Y.
Go search in a Google. Title 22, CFR, letter of rogatory. See what comes up.
And rogatory spelled R-O-G-A-R.
So that's what you're doing. Letter of rogatory.
Letter of rogatory.
Go study that CFR, what it says. Title 22.
Okay.
Because anyone who is operating in Republic cannot contact directly, neither they cannot contact you directly. When they contact you directly with zip code and, 2 alphabet of the state, you are basically a U.S. citizen. So they cannot send you any letter if you claim that you are not U.S. citizen. You cannot use that letter. You cannot use that address.
Right. Well, I'm not. I'm just wondering. I guess I'm not claiming a sovereign citizen or anything like that. I'm not really sure what that is. But
sovereign citizen is somebody who doesn't have a knowledge and trying to be a sovereign, like you.
Right. That's okay.
It's okay. We all learn.
Sovereign is sovereign, and citizen is citizen. Okay, the sovereign is a king, and citizen is subject. So there's no such a thing called king. Is a subject.
Right.
So they put that label because people don't know their rights, and then they act like a sovereign. So that's why they created this name. So they are going to test you. Are you a sovereign citizen? Now.
How can I be a king and a president at the same time?
You have to defend, right? And they're going to say, you write bonds. Oh, you're a sovereign citizen. Then you have to know how to defend. Hey, I can write a bond. Here's a law. Your law says we the people could do that. But if you don't know these laws that they created, and they don't know these laws, so you are responsible to pull those things and say, hey, this is what it says.
I still have a criminal matter that I need to close the loop on. As far as what are your thoughts on my particular attorney saying, well, we should just go ahead and do the bench trial and get the conviction, and then do an appeals court and talk to an appellate
and your
attorney.
Conviction is what? Did you harm anyone?
No, there's no. It's basically just possession of. It's a misdemeanor. It's possession of marijuana.
If you did not harm anyone, then there's no conviction.
I got a question. When the dog hit, you were facing the other direction. Was the other cop on the scene?
Yeah, and he was with me. He was watching me. He was standing right next to me. He didn't see it either.
Okay, so he was the witness that was on the stand when the judge fell asleep?
Yes,
he was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that asked me, or he's the one that was witness to, the questions I was asking. Am I being detained? Am I free to go? And he was the other one that was on the scene. There was no other videotape or recording, but those are the two individuals. The other cop that signed the indictment or the charging document, it was a completely different officer that wasn't even on scene. There's only two cops there.
Well, good. You got like 3 cops for the lawsuit, so that's good news.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's that's the thing.
Well, if you are in a state court, I advise you should move to federal court immediately. Now.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Randy was saying.
You always have to be a plaintiff. You always have to be plaintiff. So what you can do is you file a federal lawsuit, then you remove that case and merge it. And Title 28, section somewhere around 1300 to about 1450. You should read it, and one of the titles says if you have a court case in federal court, you can remove it under that title. So find that title, you file a lawsuit, then you remove it and merge it. So you file a lawsuit. Yeah. So you have to file a lawsuit. You have to file a lawsuit. Then you find that code on a Title 28 section, blah, blah, blah. It says if you have a court case in federal court, this title, you can remove it. So now you file a notice of removal that I have a court case in federal court against a public officer who created the damage, and I am removing under a federal question, which is a constitutional law, U.S. Constitution and laws of the United States and treaty. Under Title 28, Section 1331. And 1332, there's a diversity of citizenship that the public officer so-and-so is a U.S. citizen and you are a state citizen. So you name yourself and then you put you can come in as one of the people and known as such a state citizen. Mm-hmm. And there's a diversity of citizenship. So that's under Title 28, Section 1332. So now this court has a jurisdiction. Federal court has jurisdiction. So now you file a complaint on those titles. And then you got to remove it. You got to find the removal title and say, under this title, I can remove it. When there is a court case filed, it says I can remove it from state.
And why would you want it removed? I'm not maybe following that.
Because if you stay there, you're going to get indicted. And especially you have an attorney, you are dead. You are the word of the court.
Well, right.
And you are no mercy in their hands. So you can go to jail, you could do whatever, and you're going to get a criminal indictment, and you're going to have a record the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you.
Yeah, that's... So if I
and you already know that they're not going to be kind to you. They already basically charged you here. There was no real witness. His back was to it. The judge falls asleep. They still take his testimony, and you got the court reporter who doesn't even make a notation that the judge is asleep on the bench, and everybody just ceases all the activities. You already saw the circus. You got to get it out of that court.
And so the getting it out of the court is following that NOD will help stall that particular process?
No.
I mean, what's that?
No. Getting it out of that court is filing in federal court, like Gloria was just saying. And then you can get it removed from the state court.
So you send that affidavit quickly in a month and a half, you default them. And then now you have evidence. You have evidence that the other party acquiescence. Okay, so take a look at the doctrine of acquiescence, what it says.
His court date, Gloria, is like July 31st. So he starts it. He doesn't have a month and a half anymore.
What, he has a hearing?
They
have
a trial?
Yeah.
Has a trial?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can file a nod right away. That can be number one.
Okay, so then you have a trial, and without trial by jury?
Ooh, it's not trial by, it's a jury trial, not trial by jury. It's my attorney was saying it's going to cost $3,000 to $5,000, and it doesn't really matter.
And then there's
if
no
it's
grand
a jury
jury.
trial. No,
there's no grand jury.
It's an administrative superior court, which if you look on Manta.com, it's an LLC, and they list the judge who fell asleep as the manager. So it's basically in a corporate court system.
So basically, you could if you have the record evidence that they are moving the court with the trial by the jury trial and not giving you a trial by jury. And if you have evidence, any kind of evidence that he violated your rights, if you have evidence, then you can come in. So whatever the evidence that you find, the court case, you can get a certified copy, and the county notary seal should be authenticated by Secretary of State. Now you can come in, use that as an evidence. And you do an affidavit, and then your affidavit also authenticated by Secretary of State, and then you put it into the court case in federal court. So basically, you probably would. Yeah, if you have evidence, then you could actually file it now and remove.
So I have evidence on, pretty much.
Whatever you can find evidence, you can put it into an affidavit, and then you can come in as the counterclaim complaint and file it, and then you file you could file a notice of removal.
Part of your process for filing for the order of removal is you must have a constitutional cause, and we all have that. If you have your affidavit of status and you're an American, then you enjoy what's called constitutional diversity of citizenship from the foreign de facto government courts, and that's what gives you the grounds to move it in from those corporate courts to
on
the
Title
courts.
28, Section 1332.
Okay,
you gotta read those things, okay? You gotta make those notes. When I speak, you gotta make notes, and then you gotta take a look at those codes and study. Why you can come into the federal court? Because of 3331, it says anything related to Constitution or laws of the United States or treaty. Now you can put the federal court, the case for those matters. Then you have a diversity of citizenship. Now federal court has the jurisdiction for those titles. So
and welcome, Chris, to the call. Glad to have you in there as well.
Well, glad to be here. The actual federal forms have a particular block set aside to check off for constitutional diversity of citizenship question.
Oh, and also
it may not be in those exact words, but it's very close to that.
Yeah, and also do not file those the proper form.
Improper.
Yeah, do not file those, because if you file it, you go back right into their jurisdiction as U.S. citizens.
Improper portion. Yeah, you're right.
So you do an affidavit.
Right.
You do an affidavit and say that I cannot. We do not have a golden silver, and we cannot pay the debt. If you know how to put them together, here's a sprinkle cases, and I do not have to pay money, but I'm seeking for justice. So you do an affidavit, and then you file into the case.
So constitutional diversity of citizenship. Okay. I'm not familiar with that. Okay.
So
while you guys are talking about that, Gloria, I want to hear you say that word again, and Chris, I want to hear you say it.
What?
Nobody gets that word right.
What? Diversity of citizenship?
No, about the form.
In propria persona?
Yeah. No. It's a pauper form. Paupery form.
It's the form of a pauper. A pauper.
Yeah,
means you have no assets. There's no money.
Yeah, if you have to pay like $350 to file it.
So pay the money is what they're saying.
Either you pay the money or don't file that form.
Right.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
If you have money,
the filing fee is about
$350,
yeah.
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
ever file a government form.
Anything government's a trap, don't file their form.
Just do an affidavit.
Just
or
do an
you could
affidavit.
say,
I
am filing for this form only because of the, for your convenience, but it doesn't put me into any jurisdiction. Blah, blah, blah. You could do that, and you can use the form. And then you can cross it out, whatever you don't want to consent to. You're modifying their form. You could do that if you want.
Yeah, I have a form that did come from their website.
So you gotta do two things: or notice of removal.
Notice of removal.
You should file a form. You should file a complaint, and then notice of removal. So now you merge those two cases.
So two different things. And the notice of removal will remove me from.
Yeah, once you file a complaint, there is a title that if you, it says if you have a court case, already existing court case, you can remove it under this title.
Do you understand that, Craig? What she's saying is file the form, file the notice of removal, file the complaint, and...
No, file the complaint first. Once you get a court case, then you file a notice of removal and say, I have a court case, I file a complaint, okay, and I would like to merge.
It's important to mention that when you remove the case, you serve the court, you serve your opposing attorney or counsel of the opposition, probably a pro se prosecutor.
The federal court, you have to also serve U.S. attorney and attorney general.
Okay, so just file a complaint, just first and foremost, to along with the affidavit and all the my particular documents stating what's going on.
Yeah, you don't have to make it so complicated. Just to say this court has a jurisdiction. Hey, I'm a man. I'm a man of the republic. I got damaged. Here's my affidavit, and I want money. That's it. One page.
And you can go back, if you didn't get all these notes, the playback number is 1-805-399-1299. And then the PIN code is what you put in the first time, 779159.
What is that court case? That you use that U.S. Supreme Court case says, my pleading doesn't have to be perfect like our attorney's pleading, and I could always correct any mistakes if I wish to.
So
hey, you are a sovereign, then be like a sovereign. You are not bound by any court rules, so you can lead that court. Hey, I want a common law court, and this court is capable of giving me common law court. And there is a diversity citizenship, and I can come into this court and request a relief.
Are you good, Craig?
Yeah, I'm writing it.
And don't make it complicated. Just make a word.
For future calls, Craig, whenever you're doing these and trying to learn about these things, it's a very good tool to have for this and many other situations, to have a little pocket recorder so that you can put it on a speakerphone, and then you can record the responses and preserve the information, because it is fairly complex and there are a lot of important nuances and criticalities that occur on these calls from Gloria and sometimes myself or Randy and others that come across here trying to help you. But if you can't preserve the information, and most of us don't have total recall of what we hear, so recording it, preserve it so we can listen to it over and over and glean the details and the critical, important facts and citations and points of law that are within are really critical to your having the information you need when you fill out your paperwork and when you succeed.
Mm. Is this complaint considered a 42? I just because the civil rights form that they have on there just says complaint 42U.S.C. and then 1983. Is that kind of the complaint?
Well, Title 42, 19.
I mean, you don't have to use any of the code, really. Under the common law, people just come in with the affidavit and say, my rights has been violated. That's it. Okay. And I want compensation. So people don't have to use any of the codes because think about it. You are just operating on a Bill of Rights. What does the Bill of Rights says? Just study go Bill of Rights. Okay, Amendment, First Amendment to Eighth Amendment. Mm-hmm. What is that? Just understand that fully. That's all you have to know.
Okay. And I do see the.
You don't have to go fancy and use all these codes,
Yeah.
But if you have knowledge, then you use it.
When you ask about the 43, that's a form or a citation of law for a civil rights violation when government agents or actors act outside scope, sphere, and color of law and trespass on your common law rights and provide you a relief and monetary rewards for the violations that they would incur by their actions that put them expressly outside of law, making them outlaws.
So basically, everything is property. Your rights, our constitutional rights, are property. Your babies are property. Everything is a property. Just say, someone took my property. That's it. Trespass my property.
So when I file,
I want my property back.
So when I file this particular complaint, and I file this in the office of the clerk for U.S. District Court in South Bend, because that's the these constitutional Bill of Rights are my property. I want my property back. They're trespassing my property. Okay.
That's it.
And I'm a natural person, and I have okay.
I'm a man. To say I'm a man. The Bible says man.
Right. I'm a man.
Okay, I'm a man. Now go study Carl Lance.
Gloria sounds more like a woman.
Carl Lance. He's a really good, very simple. I'm a man, and I got damaged, and you took my property. I want my property back, and I want X amount of dollars. That's it.
And she said Carl Lentz. It's Karl Lentz. So make sure you spell it right because there's two of them that show up on YouTube. And actually, when you do type it into YouTube, Karl does not populate the box. So
Karlrentz.
Lentz, as in L as in Lima.
Lentz.
Lentz. Yep. And Chris, did you want to say something?
Basically, all the land and all the property, actually, we put it into a melting pot for the benefit of all, okay? So what you have is you only have a property rights, and everything is property, and you only have a rights to use it. So if somebody taking your rights to use it, now they trespass your property. Okay.
Right.
So
what about this?
Anything that you can use, your rights, your house, your car, your baby, you have a right to have it and enjoy it. Okay. Right. So that's all you have. You don't own nothing. Okay, because we put everything under a public fund, so everybody enjoy it. But you have a right to keep it as long as you want, and you have a right to discharge the property anytime and get another property.
Yeah, so, I think that was one of the things
but
where,
as long as you want that, you have that right.
Go ahead, Craig.
I think that's one.
Right.
I think that's one of the things
you have
when we
a
talk
right,
about.
Okay.
Yeah. We were,
Craig, go ahead.
some friends of mine were talking about how do we get out of this, Title III court, and how do we get out of this particular court. So, filing this complaint will get you out of that particular court into
the title,
federal court.
Okay, take a look at the U.S. Constitution, Article 4,
Article
Section
3 or whatever court, yeah.
Article 4, Section 3, what it says. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's a Clause 2, what it says. It says, the U.S. Congress shall make regulations for the land possessed by the United States, any territory, okay? So what is the territory of the United States? It's the District of Columbia, and they own some other properties, okay? So they could make the rules on those properties. So when you are pulled into their court, other than District of the United States, District Court of the United States, District Court as a lowercase. Other than that, United States District Court, like upper lowercase courts, or United States District Court with a small district, they use a different combination, and then upper lowercase and some are lowercase, So other than District Court of the United States, the other courts are basically the phony courts or the either District of Columbia courts. So only courts that you could enter is the District of Columbia, or this District Court of the United States as a district court as a small s, small d, and small c.
So that you're clear on the federal territories or zones, those includes the 10-mile square, which is Washington, the District of Criminals. Mm-hmm. It includes special federal territories that are set out within the geographic bounds of the states that they lie within that belong to the federal government for post roads, for psychiatric facilities, for prisons, for courts, for munitions plants. They're lined out in Article 1 of the Constitution.
Only one court is Article 3 court.
That's correct. She's absolutely right. The small d,
and
small c
district
court.
The small d and small c of
district
the
court in the U.S.
Yeah, of
and
the
where's
United
that,
States.
Chris?
Well, that lies within the district court system, but it's usually a special floor that's dedicated for that purpose only and set out. And you'll usually find it in the Federal Circuit Courts of Appeals. And by proper petitions, pleadings, motions, phraseology, and word terms, you will move the court, which is in the D.C.U.S. building, into the Article 3 General Justice Court's jurisdictional capacity. And then they will have to operate under the common law by your competent pleadings and petitions and give you the just court that you're actually looking for, as opposed to the corporate courts that you'll find, which are foreign law specifically. That's why the constitutional diversity of citizenship sets you apart. You know the difference between foreign law and American jurisprudence or common law, and that's how you move that court into the proper jurisdiction for an American national who is not one of the 14th Amendment subject slave citizens, subject to the power of Congress and therefore a slave, and enjoying your privileges in lieu of rights.
Okay, so, and Gloria, did you want to say something on that now too? Should we get it from both of you?
The District Court of the United States, when they put the United States, it appears to be the 50th state in Union. So the District of the United States versus United States District Court. Think about it. United States is different than the United States.
I
Just
did
like
send out an email.
The U.S. Postal Service, right? I know. I can understand that.
I just want him to stay straight, you guys. Like,
I got very limited,
he's a baby in all of this. He's a baby in all of this, and when they hear about these different courts, it's confusing to them, and probably to some of the other people who are on. So I just want, I know, Chris, you're about to talk, and I didn't mean to cut you off at all. So go ahead and finish what you were saying.
I was just saying I did send you an email today for everyone.
Okay.
That draws out and it shows the relationship of the jurisdictional diversity that exists within and without the states, and it has some graphic demonstrations of the United States, and it shows breakouts of what are federal territories within. So it makes these fairly complex jurisdictional contemplations easier to visualize and thereby grasp and understand what we're talking about. And they are intentionally designed to be complex, confusing, so they can try to force you to go to a barred licensed esquire attorney, an officer of the court, to seek assistance, because you may not understand and grasp these things because they've made them so overtly complex and difficult to discern. And so
it is complex because there's all kinds of contracts. Okay, there's a contracts between we the people in the United States, the federal government. There's a United States of America, or the United States of America, upper lowercase, as the federal republic. Then there's the United States, who's not a federal republic, who is located in the District of Columbia, as a corporation. So then there are District of Columbia also owned by another entity, and so there's many entities Delaware involved. Huh?
There's one in Delaware too. That's where when I looked up the LLC for the Superior Court Number 5 in Elkhart County.
So there is the United States that are people find that the United States is formed in London. Then there's the United States of America that is formed in Delaware. Now I believe that's in Florida.
Oh, is that right? It moves.
So there's all different kinds of entities, and there's all kinds of contracts. So and it is not disclosed to us, and we don't know anything except we all have a Bill of Rights, and that's what we are pushing. There's no way that you could know, So basically, you can go to any court and ask for common law court, basically.
Should I file this notice of distress? Because I got that from Randy, and I filled it out last night. In terms of all the different things, should I go ahead and file that? Will that
what
be
is that
a benefit
notice
to
of?
me?
It's a distress on the judge, the judge's bond. You can read it if you want, Craig. And that was prior to tonight's call and filing directly into federal court. And he does still have a date of the 31st, so I'm still not against him filing it. What happens is when a judge reads everything that's entailed in that 11-page document, he removes himself from the case. We had Keith on the call one night, and he talked about when he used it, if you guys remember. The judge, nobody bothered to tell him that the court hearing had changed, and he goes in, and the judge says, well, Mr. Porter, seems you filed something into the case, and I've now removed myself from the case. You'll hear from us when a new judge has been assigned. So it does buy time. It sets the date back, which he has a date right now of the 31st. So if he goes and does Gloria's longer route of the 21 days and 7 days and 3 days, then might not still be a bad thing to do.
Really, you shortcut all that, Randy, whenever you motion
Oh,
and
you
move
could,
your court.
Also, you
could
case
out.
Gloria, hold on. We got two at the same time. Let Chris finish.
I was just saying, you circumvent all the necessity of doing all that because this guy is obviously not going to operate within law in that court as it is. It's obvious from his actions. So thereby what you do when you motion and move the court to the proper jurisdiction for an American and the Circuit of Court of Appeals, you notice the court and you notice the opposing counsel and you let them know that you're moving this out of there because they have acted unlawfully and violated your rights and interceded or trespassed on your rights that are secured within the language of the Constitution that come from your Creator specifically. And so this is if you want to let the judge know that you're doing that, it would be probably okay to file that. It wouldn't hurt anything particularly, but the real power is coming into removing it to the proper jurisdiction, venue, court, form, and forum for your particular type of status of political individual or citizen or subject or whatever you decide to be for yourself, and getting to the proper court of law with a true court of record as opposed to these mere business records they keep in these administrative commercial war courts that they operate under their state jurisdictions.
So basically what he's saying, Craig,
Mm-hmm.
just boiled down, is you don't have to file it if you're going to take it straight into federal court. If you're going to file in federal court,
he could file that and also remove it. Maybe the judge will read it and go, "Oh, let him go." I'm glad to let him go.
Actually, the notice of distress is like a really fun document to file in. So if you just want to mess with the judge,
can you send it? Can you send it to me? I would like to read what's in there.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I had some questions on as far as the dates and everything else of what happened. I should obviously just put the dates that I was in court. But what is some of this other stuff down here where it says, let's see, affidavit of truth filed on this date affidavit of truth. I don't know if that was ever filed. What's the affidavit of file date? What is that exactly? Is that something I need to leave in there, or
you have
take
to
out?
modify. You have to modify according to your, the truth. You can't just file that. If somebody give you a document, you have to read everything, make sure.
Right. That's what I'm doing.
Well, an affidavit, by the very nature of it, has to be to facts that you have first-party competent knowledge of, not theories, not you think or suspect or you thought something happened, but you absolutely must know to what you testify to in an affidavit under fear of pains or penalties of perjury. Further, what you're really perceiving here, and perhaps not perceiving, is that when you ask the court that's abused you to allow you to move from that court, it's a frivolous position, because your abuser is not going to quit abusing you just because you tell them to stop. That's right. Actually Stockholm Syndrome, love your abuser. So you keep asking your abuser to give you permission to move it out. You don't ask permission, you seize permission, and you move it yourself to the proper jurisdiction and venue for an American and to common law. That would be the federal.
That's why the federal court. I need to move it to federal. Okay.
Because the states habitually abuse the rights of the people that live with them.
And then down at the bottom, I see it says, I don't know, it says CC, what's that say? It says CC Attorney General and Insurance Commissioner, name and manager of the ADOA Risk Management.
That means you're sending them, it just means you're sending them an exact copy of what you're sending to the judge. Because and the judge is seeing that you're sending it to a whole lot of other people, and he's not going to like that. That's kind of embarrassing to him.
Well, in risk
I don't know
management,
who those people are. Who are they?
It's okay. They're the insurers that ensure that the judge will operate within law and honor and respect your rights, which he has not done, and that's why you're complaining to them. And when you notify this fiduciary, this insurer, or securitizer, which puts up the bonds to ensure their faithful performance to the people and honoring their employment obligations that are an employee contract to protect and defend our rights, which they have obviously not done. When they get two of those complaints to the different agents that issue these insurances or bonds for performance, risk management they call it usually, two of those makes them insurable because of habitual bad activity they have to become self-insured, and the counties will never accept self-insurance, so they'll be dismissed from being able to serve in their capacity.
Oh, okay. Well, how do you get the name of these folks in a particular area? I mean, or for these particular judge and prosecutor? How do
well,
you?
Usually the clerk of the court can be very helpful if you're polite and be as nice as you can when you're asking them for information. I'm trying to seek where to locate the bonds, insurances, and oaths or affirmations for the judges, the prosecutor, or whatever else. Now, you have to understand that the bar is a private association. It's not really an entity that's within the state. It's without the state. And they make their own laws for their own people, and they police their own people, allegedly, although it's pretty specious to expect somebody to abuse themselves or their buddies that might be above them in the next trial. So that's why the risk management is an important part to notify in there, is because that is separate from the bar, and they issue the insurances that protect them from malpractice, which they engage in virtually daily as a habit. And so that's why you go where the power is, in my estimation. And Randy Kelton from Rule of Law Radio also suggests that same tactic.
Okay. And if the clerk of the court's not going to give me this information, is this anything that I could obtain online or anywhere else, or is it just specifically held within that particular court?
Sometimes the business manager of the entity that you're in can provide that information to you. It could be the courts themselves that have it. It could be the clerk of the court that has it. It could be the city managers that operate the courts. Depends upon what level of state. Could be the state attorney general or the secretary of state. There are various, depends upon which court you're actually in. And I apologize, I wasn't on early enough
It's just the Circuit Superior Court in one of the counties in Indiana. I actually live in Michigan, so I mean, I have to kind of go and find these folks. But I just had a question as far as who these people, why I would CC these particular people. That's all.
Well, if you live in a different state, it certainly seems odd. Now, I didn't get to the circumstance if you had an accident or something there that injured somebody else's property. There may be some.
I got pulled over with marijuana in the car.
Oh,
but
did they have?
Chris, you definitely got to go back and hear the replay because the story is just a fun story.
I would question the initial stop in the first place. What was the probable cause of suspicion of a felony crime to have permission to be in the presence, to ask questions, or further conduct an interview or an unlawful search without a warrant, to give them the ability to be where they were at? And that's Thompson versus Smith specifically.
When you look at the criminal procedure rule, it basically states that they have to issue a warrant for even search, and why they're searched and what, that kind of thing. They have to get a specific warrant for search. They can't just search.
Well, Gloria, they said he crossed over the white line on the right-hand side, the fog line, and then he chewed his gum too fast.
And my voice cracked.
That's not a probable cause.
I know. I'm being
But that does not constitute a felony offense. That's a mere traffic violation, a fiction of law infraction, not a crime. And whenever you look at the true, they never tell you the true definition of probable cause. It must be the facts or circumstances that cause one to believe that a felony crime has been committed, and that the person that was accused committed that felony with specificity. And so this is where the initial stop is, to point to attack in the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals whenever you're trying to place off or offend or defend against this unlawful stop, unlawful search and seizure, when they did not have that sufficient probable cause to be there in the first place. And that's Thompson versus Smith. It's a very important case.
Chris, does fruit of the poisonous tree have anything to do with a stop like this?
Well, absolutely, because after the unlawful stop, because they didn't have a suspicion of a felony crime to stop in the first place, then everything that's found subsequent to that stop falls into that doctrine of fruit of the poison tree, because they did not have a lawful right to be in the presence to make the stop in the first place.
And that's exactly what I said to him, and he told me that his attorney said, no, it has nothing to do with it.
His attorney's a liar. He's a professional liar, and he works for the court. He's a barred licensed attorney, Esquire, and an officer of the court. His first duty is to the bar. His second duty is as an officer of the court, and his third duty is not to his mere money-paying client. It's Corpus Juris Secundum, Volume 7, Attorney-Client Relationships, Attorney-Client Fees.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
in fact,
that's
any monies you give an attorney are deemed to be a contribution, a donation, or a gift, and there's no obligation of expectation of performance for anything from that attorney for the monies you've given to him.
Yeah, because they can't promise a win. They can't guarantee, a particular result, and, all they're going to do is go in there and, skate around some things and make it look like they're answering a lot of questions, and, that's where we're at. But, my whole thing is I'm going to have to file this notice of distress, and then I'm going to have to tighten up the document a little bit. And
yes, they are all actors in that court. That's a military battlefield you're in, and they all have different uniforms or disguises on to give the illusion that they're not connected, but they are precisely a very militaristic, tactically organized and contrived group that is trying to destroy you by any means possible whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Do I need to add anything, Randy, into this particular notice of distress as far as, my affidavit and things of that nature? Do I need to put that in there?
No,
or is it just simple,
no, not on that one. Nope.
Okay, just plug and play some of the dates in here. If it's not, if there's a date that says an affidavit of truth was filed on this particular date, should I just take that out? And because if it's not been filed,
Yeah, because I don't know what your attorney filed, so I would just pull it out, file the notice of distress, and they're not going to tell you that the judge removed himself. You're going to just have to find out. You're going to have to call the clerk of court. But in the meantime, you'll be working on your filing for the federal court.
Yes.
So, and you don't want to take too much longer because the 31st is going to be fast upon you. And obviously I can't file tomorrow because of 4th of July. But right.
I do appreciate everybody's time and listening to the story. And
hey, Craig, you sound young. I don't know how old you are, but it's good that it all happened to you now because you got to learn this stuff because you're going to be fighting these guys the rest of your life. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm almost 40 now, so I mean.
I was thinking more like 30 or something. So anyway,
guys, you want to hear something interesting?
Sure.
The Title 28, Section 132. It basically states that the United States District Court, upper lowercase, the whole thing, upper lowercase, is basically court of record. Okay, now what we understand court of record is basically common law. That's what the Bill Thorne said, that when we go into the court of record, it has to be a common law. But guess what I found today?
Good find, Gloria.
Okay, the court of record, I was looking at the Black's Law Dictionary today. And court of record means court of exchequer. Okay, and the court of exchequer means, in English law, okay, I didn't write the whole thing in my statement, but it says a very ancient court of record, blah, blah, blah. Its jurisdiction as a court only extended to revenue cases rising out of non-payment or withholding the debt to the Crown.
If you don't mind my observing, a court of record is a specific type of court which is supposed to ensure an accurate, true, and correct record of all the conversations and paperwork and evidence that are submitted in the court, all testimony. When you're not in a court of record,
it should be recorded. Right, should be recorded.
It'll be permanently saved and preserved for the court. But when you're not in a court of record, of course, they will claim it's a court of record, but what they don't tell you, it's a court of mere business records or papers and effects.
So here is a court of exchequer means the court of record. Okay, it says court of record in old English terms, a court of record. And it's basically for the revenue rising out of non-payment. So when you don't pay tickets, it's considered non-payment, and you're in the court of exchequer.
Well, what I was trying to relate is that if you are not in a lawful bona fide court of record, then what you'll find is they're able to twist the record, tamper with evidence, which is the record itself, and to reconstruct it in a fashion that is legally advantageous to them and to your precise detriment. They'll twist your words around. They'll strike things from the testimony like you didn't say them. They'll claim they misunderstood what you said, and they'll write it differently. There's all sorts of tricks that they use in these non-courts of records, these administrative or hearing officer or the jurist headed courts that are not true lawful justices enjoying life tenured appointments at the hand and seal of the post during good behavior. And when they are not in that classification, you can be reasonably sure that they will not provide you any justice. They'll do whatever they want to do. They'll try to give you the appearance of fairness and justice.
So the bottom line, the court of record, that what we know is different than the Black's Law Dictionary. The Law Dictionary doesn't say that.
Well,
I was looking at the court of record, and there's no word court of record on the Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition. And it says a court of record, it says a C court. So I
look
go
at
to
mere
the court.
look at business records under the UCC as opposed to a court of record. You'll find a dramatic divergence.
Mm-hmm. So basically, what I found is interesting is that court of record is basically the dead to the crown.
Well.
So
I think that what the court we're supposed to go is a court of chancery. That's the equity court, and it says equity. It says the equity court of the court of equity actually deals with the common law as well. So if you read the Title 42 action, it says you could actually claim in the court of equity in law. That's what it says, equity in law. So you can come in equity or in law.
So the big question is, when we were all discussing, well, how do we get out of these administrative courts? You act as a sovereign and move it yourself. And you're the
administrative court is basically you have to file an administrative court is basically who's gonna bring a evidence into the law into the record. So now you could use a law, a case law. It is an evidence of law. And then also you could use United States Code, Section 204A. It says United States Code shall be legal evidence of law. Then you can also use United States Code Title Section 112. United States Statute at large shall be legal evidence of law. So you can bring United States Code. And you can bring, and statute of large, and these are all evidence of law. So everything has to be evidenced.
We didn't bring any of that stuff into the court. My attorney was like, "Well, the burden of proof is on the prosecution." Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's like, we don't have to bring any of these case laws in with, fruit of poisonous tree and all this other stuff. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, that doesn't sound, right? I mean, shouldn't we provide him with some case law that backs up our position too?
Well, remember, your attorney is suffering from a precise disability. He is not learned in facts, law, and evidence. He's learned in statutes, codes, procedures, and policy. because he's only a commercial lawyer.
Most of our attorney uses case law. If you look at their pleadings, it's all case law. And
case law is judge-made law.
Because they use a case law is because of any circuit courts, any Supreme courts, any local courts are considered common law courts. So when the judge makes these precedent of court cases, it is a law that they use case laws in the common law court. They believe that the court they're running in the local courts and superior courts, they're all common law. So they
and the appeals courts aren't common law courts either. The appeals courts aren't common law either. Like if you had an appeal, like if you appeal like a convention.
They do not have the right information. Common law means for basically common law has to be a man and woman, come in for a claim. But there is corporations are coming in. And corporations are considered as a citizen. And they say corporation is formed by men and acting behalf of this name. So they consider that corporation is a citizen.
Corporation is a legal person.
And corporation is citizen. That's what they believe, corporation as citizen. So everybody became a resident in a way, actually. Everybody, a corporation is resident, and you have a driver license and you're a resident.
So I still maintain resident means race is the thing, ID is identified, ENT is abbreviation for entity. So you're a thing identified as an entity if you're a resident.
Well, they're trying to take my license away, too.
According to their law, resident means who does not have intention to make a permanent home. So live there temporarily. Either natural man or corporation lives there temporarily, doesn't have intention. So that's what the resident means.
That temporary living is considered to be a transient sojourner on a temporary stay or location until they're eventually returned.
And they call it a resident. That is called resident.
It's a very important trap word.
Who doesn't have an intention to return means resident. And whoever has intention to return becomes the state citizen.
They may have intentions, but their creator may have other agendas for them, and they may not return. You hopefully return, but dependent on your actions or other circumstances.
Because there's 365 days a year. There's an odd number. You cannot live someplace equally, perfectly divided. Okay, so man could only have one domicile. But residents, a corporation...
In the Creator's calendar, there are 364 days, not 365. So you theoretically could do that. However, since they added 2 months,
not in their law. Okay, you have to look it into their eyes. Okay,
that's foreign law.
Their eyes. We have 365 days, and you cannot live. Only corporations could reside in many different locations. Man cannot live in many different locations at the same time. Corporation can. So corporation is resident. If you want to declare as a resident, go ahead. Man only could have one domicile because they have to live one to the other.
All right. Any closing words, anyone? It is 11 o'clock out here almost. Craig, if you need any assistance after this, just reach out, give us a shout. Definitely want to hear the outcome of this and be with you along the way on your Title 42 that you file. Man, great call tonight. Chris, please go back and listen to where he came on. I want to say it was around an hour and 6 minutes, hour and 5 minutes. somewhere in there just so you can hear his case. And if you want to hear the whole thing, of course you can, the entire call.
If you have interest, I could share two things with you.
Yeah, we haven't heard from you in a while. We missed you early on. So
well, I was in court today for Tom Collins, that some of you may or may not know. He's been in jail for almost 30 days. In fact, he's getting close to a speedy trial violation. And coincidentally, he has a pretender defender state-appointed attorney to represent him in the interest of the court. However, it was a scheduled court appearance today. We checked the docket last night and this morning to be sure it was still on for 3 o'clock p.m. today in Las Vegas. And so I got dressed and went down there to attend and to observe and to record. And when I got there, it had previously been in the video hearing courts, which I think are probably a due process violation in of themselves, coincidentally. But irrespective of that, I did go to I was sitting there waiting for the court to start, and two undercover officers in uniform came up the hall with their weapons and cuffs and stuff on, but plain clothes. And they inquired as to what I was waiting for. I said, well, I'm waiting for a case here at 3 o'clock. There was no cases in here. I said, well, that's really curious. I said, his name is posted on the docket, and all the other cases have been in here on the video phone. And she said, well, no, he's going to be in the first court today, which would have been an actual live appearance because they don't have video capabilities in there. I said, well, thanks for letting me know that. So I walked up there behind them. Strangely, they let me walk behind them. As a former law enforcement officer, I would never let somebody I don't know walk behind me where they have access to my firearms or other militaristic equipment.
They're not too smart out there in Vegas.
Well, apparently not. And so I went in there and I sat down and positioned my place where I could hear best and waited for a couple of minutes. And then one of the two uniformed officers, a female, came up and wanted to know what my name is. I said, well, what do you need my name for? I don't have a case here. She says, you don't? I said, well, yeah, I'm just here to observe and watch and advocate for an individual. And I told them the name of the individual earlier, I think, and they said, well, he's not going to be here today. His counselor called and canceled, said she had a federal court supersedes the court here. I said, oh? She says, yeah, the district attorney, the prosecutor out there is out in the hallway. He's the one that said so. And I said, well, I'd like to talk to him. She said, well, okay, I need your name. So I give her my name, my lawful name, Chris Harold, not my last name, because that's not my name. It's my family name. That's my legal name. And so I went out there, and there was quite a little gaggle of them in a little vestibule and just outside the courtroom between there and the hall, with the two meeting rooms or confessionals, as I like to call them, on both sides. He says, well, let's step into here. So I stepped in there. Of course, the two armed officers came in with to protect him in case I attacked him, I guess. Maybe they know me. But anyway, she was convinced to tell me that the attorney had called and claimed that she wasn't going to be there today and had to force off because she had a federal case, was the allegation. And I said, well, I find it rather curious how she could possibly present his interest whenever she hasn't even met with him today. So, that seems to be defying common sense. If she hasn't talked to the client, how could she possibly present his interest? Well, he kind of keyed up on me whenever I said present his interest. He knew I knew the difference. And he says, well, maybe you should call her. I said, well, there are a couple of mitigating, extenuating circumstances, and I lined them out in his health and the bad air in the place he was at and so on and so forth. And so the prosecutor said, well, you probably need to talk to his state-appointed defender. And I said, well, do you have a number for her? And, no, you'll have to look that up. Okay, fine. And so I said, well, the other thing is, why wouldn't you contemplate releasing him on OR since tomorrow is Independence Day here in the land of the free? He says, well, oh, I don't have the authority to do that. I said, well, as a matter of fact, you do under your prosecutorial discretion. You can do that. And he said, well, no, the judge has to do that. I said, well, I did not say, but I wish I had thought to say at the moment that, well, why don't you request the judge do that in the interest of mercy on the court on Mr. Collins, who's 79 years old and deserves to be free. It was a traffic offense, so we're getting close to a speedy trial violation. I think we're going to pass it over this weekend. So it's very interesting, but you've got to know these guys' routine and be able to hold them to accountability and call them, you know. They looked at me, and I pointed right at them. I said, look, you do have the possibility in your prosecutorial discretion. You know, when you know about their prosecutorial and judicial discretion, they're free to do anything they want to do. So you know they can do it if they want to do it. They may have to get the judge's okay, but if he suggested it, she would darn well go along with it.
Right.
But those are really interesting little nuances, and I get the feeling they don't like me up there very much because I know more than they're used to having people know, and they don't like that whenever the people know more than what the prosecutors and the courts and stuff do, and they're sniffing around their business operation of racketeering.
So did it really get moved over to federal court then?
Well, no, this one's not a federal court. This is just a little North Las Vegas city court. It's all it is, municipal court. So it's really nothing at all. But
okay. But
they've
they
got
kept
him
him
housed
still?
in a different. Say again?
They still kept him then?
They still have him in custody over the weekend, and but now I'm going to be burning that girl's phone up because I have a feeling that what she did is she concocted this fiction of a federal case. I'll be wanting to know the federal case number that she was on, or else I'll be seeking sanctions against her for being disingenuous and untruthful with the court and proclaiming, because we checked it last night and this morning, it was on the docket. So she called at the last minute, got a hot date for the weekend or something or other, a better offer, and used the federal court ruse to confuse to cover up her wanting to play hooky.
Oh, no. And he's 79 years old?
Yeah, and caused him to stay in the court. He's getting close to 80. September of this year, he'll be 80. But it was very, very curious. Let's see.
How did he end up on a traffic violation in court or in jail for almost 30 days?
Well, he was practicing his right to travel. He had just acquired the motorhome. And, of course, his motorhome is costing him more to warehouse in their storage facility than what he's earning per day in accumulated monies against his offset of his incarceration. So he's really losing money and getting farther in debt while he's there. He'll probably lose the automobile, or actually the motorhome that he just purchased before it's all over. And but something very curious, I went out and looked at the actual accident scene and observed that what they're doing is they're starting to minimize some lanes. This was a right turn lane specifically. Well, this right turn lane was a mere 9 foot wide in lieu of a 11 plus foot wide of normal lanes, so it's 2 foot shorter. And a motorhome or a regular automobile full size is about 7 to 8 foot wide. So they allege that he got outside the line when he made the right turn. Now, there may have been a moped that tried to impinge on his travel lane as he was turning or get real close to provide the opportunity to cause an accident and to claim an insurance injury and try to get money out of this guy on his insurance for being involved in a motor vehicle accident. All right? But it's a very curious set of consequences, but I can tell you there are many from south of the border. They're very artful in creating these accident scenarios. Whether they're going through a intersection on a green light and they throw it in the reverse in the middle to back into you, because 99% of the time the person in the rear is at fault in a rear end collision. I had one of those myself. And I beat it because there were two witnesses sitting off to the side that saw the guy practicing putting it in reverse and forward. While he was waiting for the light to change, I was looking in la-la land off to the side while I was waiting. I looked up and checked the light was green. When he pulled off, to be sure, I pulled forward, and he threw it in reverse in the middle of the lane. And I threw on my brakes, but he had backed into me. It looked like I had rear-ended him, but thank goodness for those two witnesses stepping forward, I beat that. That's 1 in 1,000%. I can guarantee you of a rear-end collision where I didn't get convicted or cited for the violation.
Mm. Wow. All right. So that was one thing you wanted to mention. What was the second?
I don't remember. I'll have to let you guys go to bed now. I apologize for keeping you up so late. I apologize for not being here earlier. I had been involved with the New York Liberty Alliance and trying to get the common law grand jury reinstituted here, but I had gone on one of their leaders' calls a week and a half previously, and these guys were idiots. They were trying to seize a room in a court to operate their courts in these private foreign corporate court buildings with all their armed guards and security features. And they were delusional thinking that they're going to give it up like that. You've got to find a private place away from there to meet and then hold them accountable, and then you might have some way of wresting the people's property back from them. But they think they've stole it fair and square, and they ain't going to give it up without a fight, I'll guarantee you.
That's right. So, okay, well, good. You're trying to talk some sense into them. Well, glad you're involved in that. And, hey, it's a good place to cut it. Good night, everyone. 11 o'clock. Enjoy your weekend. And be praying for
Hey, Randy, can you send me that document? I
did already. You already have it.
Okay, great. Okay.
Have a happy, enjoyable, and safe 4th of July.
Great. You too. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.